Hello, and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Farah Nasser. We interrupt our programming for a special broadcast. King Charles III will make his inaugural address to the nation and the Commonwealth in just a few minutes. A speech he's known he would have to make for much of his life, and a role he's been growing into for more than 70 years. Let's go live right now to Buckingham Palace to start, where the speech was recorded earlier today in the blue drawing room there. The King returned to London from Balmoral this morning. He and the Queen Consort Camilla were given a warm welcome by crowds during a walkabout that his late mother, the Queen, popularized. If you take a look at Buckingham Palace right now as well, you see the royal staff. It's at full mast, which signifies that the monarch is in residence. Of course, this may not be his residence. He's still living at Clarence House, but this is going to be likely his residence and his office. While we wait for the King's speech, we're going to bring in our Europe Bureau Chief, Crystal Gamansingh. She joins us live from London. Good evening to you, Crystal, and good morning for our viewers here. You know, for many, the Queen was a mother figure, a grandmother figure, but for the King, she was his actual mother. So regardless of how you feel about the monarchy and regardless of how long he's been preparing for this speech can't be easy for him.
Yeah, and you also have to remember the Queen was also his teacher. She was trying to help him along and inform him all through those 70 years, ensuring he would become a good king. So what really will be interesting is to see what themes he touches on in his first televised address. Things like duty, things like service, unity, whether it's the unity of the family, of the community, of the country and Commonwealth. So those are some of the themes that, of course, Her Majesty made famous and was always sort of keying in on her speeches, whether it was the special address she gave during the pandemic or in her Christmas messages that really were beloved here in the UK. People always waited for those and they were very excited. So this first address really will set the tone of what kind of king he can be. And that was also why that walkabout this afternoon at Buckingham Palace when he arrived was so crucial, Farah.
And you're watching him and the Queen Consort Camilla walking about, taking a look at some of the messages and some of the flowers this morning. Crystal, the nation is not as attached to King Charles as they have been to Queen Camilla. So when he speaks today, what are some of the things that he'll be trying to do to start his reign, to go from prince to king?
It's a really interesting question, and it really kind of comes down to this attachment to the monarchy and the royals. But we've only had Queen Elizabeth II, so the attachment had grown through those 70 years and was incredibly deep-rooted. So people haven't necessarily had the chance to become attached to King Charles. You know, as Prince Charles, as the son, you could kind of be a little bit hard on him, but there is this shift in perception, the shift in error that you can sense here in the UK that, you know, now he takes on the role, now he will really kind of come into his own and understand the pressure that the Queen had on her for all of those years. So there is a rather abrupt switch to people saying, you know, I think he'll be a good king. I think he'll be good for the United Kingdom. So it'll be interesting to see just how many people now start to sort of change their view. But that is something that I've noticed pretty quickly as soon as the Queen passed and the King ascended to the throne.
Okay, Crystal, we're hearing we have about 30 seconds to go before the King's address to the nation, perhaps a little less than that. And we are also going to be talking after this about tomorrow, because tomorrow is a significant day as well.
Yeah, this will really come down to the start of it all. We'll sort of kick off the proclamation process tomorrow, the signing of the oath. But today, the attention is on this speech, and that is what we are about to get, Farah.
That's right. We're going to go to the speech now. It's just become available to us. Here is King Charles III.
I speak to you today with feelings of profound sorrow Throughout her life, Her Majesty the Queen, my beloved mother, was an inspiration, an example to me and to all my family. And we owe her the most heartfelt debt any family could owe to their mother, for her love, affection, guidance, understanding, and example. Queen Elizabeth was a life well lived, a promise with destiny kept, and she is mourned most deeply in her passing. That promise of lifelong service I renew to you all today. Alongside the personal grief that all my family are feeling, we also share with so many of you in the United Kingdom, in all the countries where the Queen was head of state, in the Commonwealth and across the world, a deep sense of gratitude for the more than 70 years in which my mother, as Queen, served the people of so many nations. In 1947, on her 21st birthday, she pledged in a broadcast from Cape Town to the Commonwealth to devote her life, whether it be short or long, to the service of her peoples. That was more than a promise. It was a profound personal commitment which defined her whole life. She made sacrifices for duty. Her dedication and devotion as sovereign never wavered, through times of change and progress, through times of joy and celebration, and through times of sadness and loss. In her life of service, we saw that abiding love of tradition, together with that fearless embrace of progress, which makes us great as nations. The affection, admiration, and respect she inspired became the hallmark of her reign. And as every member of my family can testify, she combined these qualities with warmth, humor, and an unerring ability always to see the best in people. I pay tribute to my mother's memory, and I honor her life of service. I know that her death brings great sadness to so many of you, and I share that sense of loss beyond measure with you all. When the Queen came to the throne, Britain and the world were still coping with the privations and aftermath of the Second World War, and still living by the conventions of earlier times. In the course of the last 70 years, we have seen our society become one of many cultures and many faiths. The institutions of the state have changed in turn. But through all changes and challenges, our nation and the wider family of realms, of whose talents, traditions, and achievements I am so inexpressibly proud, have prospered and flourished. Our values have remained and must remain constant. The role and the duties of monarchy also remain, as does the sovereign's particular relationship and responsibility towards the Church of England, the church in which my own faith is so deeply rooted. In that faith and the values it inspires, I have been brought up to cherish a sense of duty to others and to hold in the greatest respect the precious traditions, freedoms, and responsibilities of our unique history and our system of parliamentary government. As the Queen herself did with such unswerving devotion, I too now solemnly pledge myself, throughout the remaining time God grants me, to uphold the constitutional principles at the heart of our nation. And wherever you may live in the United Kingdom, or in the realms and territories across the world, and whatever may be your background or beliefs, I shall endeavor to serve you with loyalty, respect, and love, as I have throughout my life. My life will, of course, change as I take up my new responsibilities. It will no longer be possible for me to give so much of my time and energies to the charities and issues for which I care so deeply. But I know this important work will go on in the trusted hands of others. This is also a time of change for my family. I count on the loving help of my darling wife, Camilla. In recognition of her own loyal public service since our marriage 17 years ago, she becomes my Queen Consort. I know she will bring to the demands of her new role the steadfast devotion to duty on which I have come to rely so much. As my heir, William now assumes the Scottish titles which have meant so much to me. He succeeds me as Duke of Cornwall and takes on the responsibilities for the Duchy of Cornwall, which I have undertaken for more than 5 decades. Today, I am proud to create him Prince of Wales, Tywysog Cymru, the country whose title I have been so greatly privileged to bear during so much of my life and duty. With Catherine beside him, our new Prince and Princess of Wales will, I know, continue to inspire and lead our national conversations, helping to bring the marginal to the centre ground, where vital help can be given. I want also to express my love for Harry and Meghan as they continue to build their lives overseas. In a little over a week's time, we will come together as a nation, as a Commonwealth, and indeed a global community, to lay my beloved mother to rest. In our sorrow, let us remember and draw strength from the light of her example. On behalf of all my family, I can only offer the most sincere and heartfelt thanks for your condolences and support. They mean more to me than I can ever possibly express. And to my darling Mama, as you begin your last great journey to join my dear late Papa, I want simply to say this: thank you. Thank you for your love and devotion to our family and to the family of nations you have served so diligently all these years. May flights of angels sing thee to thy rest.
You were just listening to King Charles III deliver his first public address, an address of unity, both for the nation, but also unity for his family. You heard at the end there how he spoke about his mother. He just is getting underway, finishing the grief of his father. He lost his father last year and now is dealing with the grief of his mother. And you can see the humanity come out in him right at the end there. This is the Church of St. Paul's, where a service is being held this evening. It is 6:09 in London right now, and you can see dignitaries there rising. This is going to be a service to first mourn the Queen and memorialize the Queen, but also pray for the King. We are going to bring in our Europe Bureau Chief, Chris Lagamansing. Crystal, we are live right now. We're looking at the Church of St. Paul. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
This is a very beautiful service and a very poignant one, Farah. It is filled with community members. People were able to apply for tickets, but also politicians. One of the key performances that we'll see at this service at St. Paul's Cathedral is it'll be the first official time that the national anthem will be sung with the words, "God Save the King," replacing her victorious with his victorious. So it is a change, one of the first times we'll hear "God Save the King" sung. So a very beautiful service that's underway. And we might want to just pause for a real quick moment here, Farah, and just take in some of the music and the sights, because it is a spectacular cathedral in London. Just gives you a sense of just how grand and ornate St. Paul's Cathedral is, and just how many people are there. Again, I think it's a very interesting point and an important point to highlight the fact that members of the public also at that service. It's that wrapping in the royal family, the sovereign, the role in the community, and ensuring the community is also involved. You know, in King Charles III's speech, he mentioned the important role and his continued renewal in the Church of England and the important role that it has played in the royal family and how it will continue to do so. We heard the theme about love, respect, and duty to others. That is a key here, because everyone is waiting to see, will he really follow in his mother's footsteps? Will duty be that pillar of his reign? And he, just like his mother on her first address, pledged the rest of his life to serving the people.
We are looking live once again at St. Paul's Cathedral, and we have our Crystal Gamansing, who is in our Europe Bureau, talking to us about what is happening right now. You know, the other thing that really stood out to me, Crystal, is, you know, his job is to maintain some stability, right? To unify the nation, but he also made the unity in his family abundantly clear. He spoke about his darling wife, Camilla, the Queen Consort. He talked about William assuming the title of the Prince of Wales. He also spoke about his love for Harry and Meghan as they build their lives overseas.
Yeah, and that really didn't surprise me. Everyone was talking about how involved Harry would be in all of these things. But if you remember what Her Majesty always said, is she always referred to Harry as a beloved member of the family, Harry and Meghan as beloved members of the family. So maybe this is the start of the new family unity among everyone that will be pushed forward instead of so much controversy and animosity.
Yeah, we heard the messages of unity. We heard the messages also for the country, and the real way he spoke about his mother, and saying how her dedication never wavered through change and progress, through joy and celebration, and through sadness and loss, and spoke about how she saw the best in people. Crystal, we are going to wrap up right now. Thank you very much for your coverage for us from London. We also know that the funeral will be held in a week. King Charles also spoke about that funeral and people getting together, dignitaries from all over the world. The Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, is also expected to be at that funeral. And we will be covering all of this for you right here on Global News. We leave you now with some views from outside Buckingham Palace. King Charles III meeting and greeting with his subjects ahead of this historic day.